These are pretty ugly. They're wobbly, and I'm broke. I've got an idea. So with a project like this, I like to start by making a to-do list. I like knowing exactly what I need to do to get the end result I'd be happy with. First, we have the wobble. I'm going to try getting some adjustable legs for that. The frame is also kind of an ugly color. I like the shape, but yeah. I just need to paint it black or gold and it'll look pretty cool. Then there's the top. Obviously the X's need to go. They're also MDF, which looks cheap. I'll have to paint it. And with that, I think we're ready to start. Okay, so I'm going to work on patching these. I'm going to try using regular drywall mud because that's the easiest thing to patch it with, but I'm not sure if it's going to stick. These have some sort of polyurethane lacquer or something on them, and that might mess with the mud's ability to stick. So I'm going to give the mud a little bit of extra help with a little bit of white glue. I've got a mud pan, a little bit of Pro Set, like that. Going to add a little bit of glue. And a tiny bit of water. That's my facet. We will leave that in there and we'll give it a test in a couple of hours. While that dries, this is a good time for me to take a look at those adjustable feet. Obviously, $30 for a pack of 4 is not going to fit my budget. So I figured I'd check my garage to see what I have on hand. Unfortunately, the 2 sets of adjustable feet that I found are not going to work. So I made my own by gluing furniture felt to some old bolts. I have a buddy with a tap, so what we're going to do is screw some holes into the bottom of the legs and then use the tap to cut the threads into the holes. Then the feet will just screw right in. So here's his tap, and this is a gauge to measure the threads. So all you have to do is screw this tool into the hole and it'll cut the threads in for you. The facet is dry and it's actually sticking super well, so we're good to go ahead and patch out the X's. I mixed this facet up the same way I did before, just a lot more of it. I'm patching them out once, and then once that's dry, I'm going to patch it out a second time. Continuing with the legs, I'm going to give them a quick sand just to scuff up the finish. And then I happened to find a can of gold spray paint. I don't even know why I had gold spray paint, but I had enough of it to be able to do 2 full coats. So that'll work. I think these are looking pretty good now. With the legs done, it's time to double back to these tops. The orbital sander was total overkill. I just thought it might make some cool footage. I wouldn't recommend it though, I oversanded it. It did go pretty fast though. I'm going to use my main wall color for the base coat. It's the same color I used behind my TV. I'll link to that video in the description below. Now it's time for the fun part. I'm going to mix up some glaze with a little bit of white paint and some of that mica powder. I'm going to hit the whole tabletop with a bit of glaze so that the paint slides around really easy and nothing dries too fast on me. That'll give me lots of time to work the paint. Then I'm sponging some of that glaze on. Unfortunately, it was too low contrast for my camera to pick up. You can see it a lot better in these close-up shots though. Usually I do this with a liner or rigger brush. but today I'm doing it with a pinstripe brush. It doesn't hold nearly as much paint, but it'll get the job done. And that's about it for these. Or at least it would have. Apparently, the clear coat I put over top of this did not like the glaze. So I'm gonna have to scrap these and do the faux finish all over again. In order to make sure that it doesn't happen again, I sanded them down and hit them with a stain-blocking oil primer. Then I gave them a coat of the same base color as last time. From there, the process is basically the same as the last time I did it. At least this faux finish goes pretty quick. It only takes me about a half an hour to do the 2 tabletops. Last time I cut this part out, I'm using a paintbrush called a Badger Blender to blend the background layer. It softens the dotted pattern that the sponge leaves. Then I added the veins back one last time. I do hate oil priming and avoid it whenever I can, but I actually do really enjoy adding in these veins. It's kind of fun and almost meditative. After that, I let them dry and hit them with a little bit of polyurethane. And here's the end results. I actually can't believe how much better they look. I was originally going to make a faux concrete finish, but I think the marble is really classy in here. I love how much the light colors brighten the space. And they really just look a lot less dingy and dirty, and I was able to do it without having to buy a single thing.